Ciao.
We're doing our bargain hunting in the West Point Exhibition Centre near Exeter, which is the venue for the Devon County.
Okay.
Not fun at all.
Sad
actually.
fact.
Weird twist.
Okay.
I was in LA when Steve Jobs died.
Oh, really?
I was in LA when I learned that he died. When I listened to your show the next morning,
Ooh.
I had to get on a plane and fly home. And I was not really wanting to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I was still doing the live show then. Of course, I started the live show again a few months ago and stopped it a few months after, but I was still doing the live show back then. And I can't remember what my topic was supposed to be, but I had spent all day working on my topic. And then, of course, news came about an hour before the live show that Steve Jobs had died. And it was there's no good way to say it. I was really glad that I had a bunch of people who were planning on getting together to talk to me anyway. Yeah. Because we did an hour 10, something like that. I might, because this is the 10th anniversary of his passing, I might actually try to dig that audio back up. And it was basically it was a bunch of, a couple of people, August Trometer, Adam Christensen. I can't remember if there was anybody else that I reached out to specifically, but then I just had open phones and we sat for like an hour and a half and just, wow, bummer. What happens next? How is this even? It doesn't feel real, but it's real, kind of thing. Good times. Sorry, it's not. It was wonderful to have that group of people. It was wonderful to have a group of people that were getting together for a like cause, I guess, a like purpose. Glad I was not getting on a plane.
Yeah, right. No, exactly. And what's so crazy about all of this, we're 8 years later, something like that. 9 years. How long ago?
Jobs? 10 years this year.
10 years this year. Okay.
2011.
10 years this year.
Yeah.
It's still hard for me to talk about it. I didn't know this guy.
Yeah. It's
weird.
Did you listen to, and I know they were an advertiser on macOS Can a few weeks back, and I'm not talking about it because they sponsored me that one time, but because it honestly got to me. Did you listen to the Business Movers, the Steve Jobs run?
No, I didn't. I want to.
It's worth listening to because they do the whole thing as a story. Mm-hmm. And there are some things not overly maudlin, though. That's what's weird. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a bit more than just a cut and dried recitation, obviously, because you want people to listen to it. At the same time, it's not overly acted. It's not overly dramatized. But there are certain things that are just said in just such a way that you're like, I can hear that. I can hear that from that person. Can't remember who it was, but somebody actually told me on Twitter that they were in tears for the last episode of that, because the last episode of that is, obviously what would be the last episode and why. Yeah. Kind of surprising some of the stuff they left out. Like, I don't think Tim Cook even got mentioned in that, which was...
Well, it's not about him.
Well, no, it's not about him, but there were a number of people who did get mentioned. I mean, Ed Catmull, other people whose names I can't think of right now because it's been a few weeks since I listened to it.
I would think
early
maybe
days,
Johnny Ive?
Apple people, Johnny Ive, yes, Steve Wozniak, of course, Gil Amelio, a bunch of names, and Tim Cook was not even mentioned once, I don't believe. And I'm not saying it's like them's fighting, whatever. I don't think it matters. Maybe it wasn't important to his story. It's more important to the Apple story, I suppose. Whatever. That's a whole other thing for a whole other thing. You want to go shopping? Yep.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. So I guess what I'm wondering is, are you walking around with everything Apple owns right now, or everything Apple makes right now?
Much. It's funny when you asked me this question, or when you told me we were going to be talking about this today, I looked up went to the Apple website, just the apple.com homepage. And you know how they have the banner with the different things they sell, like Mac and iPad and iPhone and music and TV and whatever. I mean, right. I could check every category.
Yeah. Do you have a laptop and a desktop, I'm betting?
I have a Mac Mini as my desktop. I switched from an iMac to a Mac Mini about 2 years ago, and I use a MacBook Pro as my work computer.
Okay. Are any of those M1?
No, I don't have an M1 machine yet, and I was very tempted by the M1 iPad Pro, but I have a really good iPad Pro already.
Yeah.
So
here's where I am on stuff. The reason I brought this up to you is because I keep thinking, well, I'm gonna replace that this year with this, and I'm gonna replace that this year with this, and suddenly I realize I'm talking about dropping like $4,000, $5,000 on stuff, and that is not how I do. Right? Like I use a Mac until the Mac is like, seriously, dude, just let me go. Just put me on a raft. It'll be fine. I just need, to move along. I have, somebody was very kind and gifted me actually with a 4th generation Apple Watch, or a Series 4 Apple Watch, which is cool. It's the smaller screen though. It was the 40 millimeter, not the 44 or the 38, I can't remember what the sizes were at that point. Yeah,
it's the 40. That's what I wear too, just because I'm basically a small guy and I'm not into big watches. So.
Okay. See, I'm thinking between the fact that it's going to be a few generations later now, and also just the bigger screen has appealed to me since the bigger screen came out. I'm thinking it's probably time for a Series 7. Plus, the whole blood oxygen thing. There are features that are now, missing because they're further back, and also, stuff like that. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do that, but that's like 300 something to 400 something. iPhone 13. It's been 2 years, and even though I'm not still on the same subsidy, whatever, of like every 2 years you pay the $200. I've been on an every 2 year plan for the iPhone. I know there are going to be enough changes from the iPhone 11, which I'm currently carrying, to the next one, that it's going to be a new phone for me, not just the incremental upgrade that everybody complains about. Plus, I'm counting on LiDAR. No matter which one I get, I'm thinking that's going to be a thing. And then I'm curious about the M1, and suddenly I'm up to like, $12,000, $15,000 now. I don't know where I am money-wise, because you get past a certain point, and I'm like, oh, that just feels like spending money. I'm going to stay home.
Right.
Is there anything coming out? We talked earlier this week about your hope that they're going to upgrade the iPad Mini.
Yeah.
And is there anything that, as the fall rolls around, as we know we're going to get new M1 Max, as we know we're going to get a new iPhone, as we know new Apple Watches are coming out, what of yours is looking long in the tooth?
Well, I can kind of shamefully admit that nothing's looking long in the tooth right now. I'm fairly up to date. I have the iPhone 12 mini. Actually, I prefer the smaller phone form factor. And every time you talk about how the numbers aren't good for that one, I'm sad, because I hope they keep making it. I like the size quite a lot.
Yeah.
I have actually been sucked into the annual replacement plan for that through AT&T.
Okay.
So I expect that I will get, they're probably not going to call it the iPhone 13, are they?
You don't think so? I hope so. I hope they do.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope they don't skip it. But whatever. The next iPhone, I expect that I will absolutely get the next iPhone. But if they have a smaller form factor, or even a mid-size form factor, I don't know that I'm definitely going to end up with LiDAR for that, So,
well, I mean, I'm basing my assumption that LiDAR is coming to the whole line on a couple of things. First of all, there are persistent rumors from the supply chain that that's going to be the thing. But the other thing is they want AR everywhere. They want AR ready for when they finally do whatever their actual AR solution is going to be.
Yep.
Because while you can do a lot of cool stuff with the phone, that's not where AR ends. It's just the very, very beginning of it. But I think they want people used to the idea so that they know why they need to, put this $1,500 thing on their head, or, however much it's going to be and whatever it's going to look like.
Right.
So you're not sure you're going to get that, but you're sure you're going to get the next phone anyway.
Yeah, I'll definitely get the next phone. And as far as an M1 computer.
Or an MX computer, we should say.
Yeah, an
possibly
M
get the M2 by the
computer.
fall. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I would like to get something, but there has to be a really compelling reason. And right now, the only compelling reason, I'm going to share with you my wild thought, my hope, my ambition, my belief, honestly, is that at some point, because of the trends that we are seeing in the design of their desktop operating system, where they're starting to follow conventions that were initially established to make content work nicely on phones and tablets, where things are at least 44 pixels apart so that they're easy to touch without accidentally hitting something else. You don't need that if you're using a mouse.
Right.
So I'm hoping that we are going to, at some point, see a touchscreen Mac. And if we do, I'm there in a heartbeat.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Interesting. I don't know what else to say, but interesting. I will tell you, there are enough fingerprints on my Mac that it's obvious that I want one of those as well.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I instinctively go to swipe the page up. And yeah.
Which is weird because I use my iPhone constantly. I don't use my iPad that much, honestly. Although I'm starting to use it more, especially now that I've sort of glommed onto the fact that, files is a thing that actually works really well from device to device to device. Yeah, see, well, okay. Why?
Because of the reason you just said. It's becoming a natural way to work. And when on occasion I use a Windows machine that is a touchscreen, it really does seem natural to occasionally reach out to it and manipulate stuff on the screen. Now, is that going to be the primary thing? Are you going to get that? I forget what Steve Jobs used to describe it, like a gorilla arm, by constantly, having your arm out and it grows so big because it's all muscular from you always sticking your arm out at the screen. No.
Right.
But I think it is a useful interaction in many cases.